Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Another Disney Podcast. Here we go. Yes, we are launching a brand new show. Let me unpack it for you. We are calling it ReImagineer It. So what is this? So ReImagineer It is a new weekly show where we're going to take something Disney related. Could be a park, could be a land, could be a restaurant, could be a ride, an attraction, whatever we want to be. We're going to bulldoze it and replace it with something else. So we thought we would start off with a softball, something easy. That if everybody was asked, if there's one thing you would replace at Disneyland, my guess is this would be at the top. Disney World. This would be at the top of, let's just say 70%
most people's
of people's
list.
Yeah, I'm going to say. And that is Dinoland USA.
Oh.
Woo. The most wasted space there. Okay. Now let's give a little bit of history on Dinoland. Okay. It's one of 7 lands at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's located to the right of the park's entrance. The flagship attraction is Dinosaur. Great dark ride. It's kind of it's based on the 2000 film of the same name. And then there's Chester and Hester's Dinorama. Poor choice of names. It's a Midway Styles Games area that's kind of themed like a traveling carnival, if you haven't been there. There's also Prime Evil Whirl, rest in peace. But in 2019, it closed for maintenance and it never reopened. And of course, last summer of 2020, it was finally confirmed that it was closed permanently. So that leaves one ride still going, and that is the Dumbo-style Triceratops Spin. Now, there's also the Boneyard Playground as well, but with COVID, that hasn't even opened yet. Yeah. And so it's been closed since reopening. But that kind of sums it up. Restaurantosaurus. Gotta throw that in there.
I love that place.
So that's kind of all of Dinoland, which is, I looked at it on the map this week. And so when you compare it to Pandora and Dinoland USA, I think Dinoland it's a little bigger. I'm pretty sure it's a little bigger. It might be a lot bigger. I don't know. I did a side by side. It's kind of close when you include.
You might be right.
When you include all ride buildings or whatever. Yeah. So we're gonna let Brandon kick it off. And so Brandon, if you had the opportunity to reimagineer Dinoland USA, what would you do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Dave. This part of this park has always bugged me. It has always felt like it didn't belong at Walt Disney World. I always said to myself, why would people pay to play cheap carnival games when they've already paid to get into this park? It just never seemed to fit with the style of Disney. So as much as I love Dinosaur, I would keep that ride, even though I would reimagineer the rest of the land. So I'm glad we're talking about this. I'm glad this is our first topic for our Tuesday show. So this is what I thought about. I thought that they obviously should bulldoze the whole thing. And what we're missing, what Animal Kingdom is missing, is a place where people can go and actually interact with animals, where they can go and be a part of the story, right? So that we have the safari, but you're on a safari truck and you cannot interact with any of the animals aside from looking at them and taking a picture. So here was my idea for what I do with Dinoland. I would bulldoze it all. I would retheme it completely after the continent of Australia. I would make it a sweet outback theme.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie. I would make it look totally authentic, with Australian decor, stuff from the outback, Aboriginal designs. But what I would do, and what I think would be really awesome, what I picture in my head is like I watch Crikey, It's the Irwins on Discovery Channel. So like they have Australia Zoo. What I think they should do is Disney's version of Australia Zoo. You could have koala encounters. You could have, tortoise encounters, just a place where people can get hands-on with the animals. Conservation is a huge thing at Animal Kingdom. So seeing the animals and asking for it on a safari is one thing, but once you get to touch those animals and interact with those animals, I think it's going to make people see it in a different light. So my idea would be to bulldoze Dinoland and make it Australia, come up with an awesome themed restaurant that has great food and great beer and great other drinks.
Foster's. Got to go with Foster's.
Foster's. The funny thing is, if you ask an Australian if they ever drink Foster's, they say it's the worst beer ever. It's not even
I thought you were going to say they don't even know what it is.
It's the worst beer ever, but they would have to serve it there because everybody thinks Foster's is Australian.
That's right.
But what that side of the park is missing is an awesome sit-down restaurant. So if you theme it Australia, come up with cool animal interactions, and then come up with a great, awesome sit-down restaurant, I think it could be really cool. So my idea, Australia.
Okay, let me throw you a hook here.
Throw me a hook.
What would you put in Dinosaur? What would you do for a dark ride?
I would keep Dinosaur because I think that Dinosaur sits far enough away from the rest of the land that you could keep that ride and not have to have that affected, because once you go back to the Dinosaur area, you're kind of removed from the cheapness that is Dinoland. So I think you could keep that ride there. It still fits with the Animal Kingdom theme, but it's not going to encroach upon the Australia theme. And I think if we put, some bamboo and things like that, you could keep it separated enough to keep that popular ride in the park. So I would not replace Dinosaur at all.
Okay. All right. That was good. I like that. I mean, it definitely keeps with the animal theme. I like that we're bringing a new continent in, right? I mean, that's a win.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's such a massive park, and obviously Australia has some really unique animals. You could have some dingoes in there, mate.
The dingo ate my baby.
That could be, you could replace the Triceratops spin with the dingo spin. Please stop making me do this accent.
Oh my gosh.
It's so bad. All right, Matthew, you want to go?
Yeah, why not?
You want to? All right.
Okay. So my idea. And my idea kind of stems from the same reason that we had that intellectual properties conversation a little while back. So my first thought is to extend Asia past the bridge, give Asia more of a pronounced, it's the biggest continent. Why not give it the biggest land in the theme park?
Okay.
Right. So do a deeper dive into dragons and mythical creatures and, things that are symbolized in China and Asia and stuff like that. So this kind of goes along with the idea of Beastly Kingdom, but Beastly Kingdom didn't happen. And then Beastly Kingdom kind of morphed into the idea for Pandora. But, yeah. So, I say, maybe it's kind of like Beastly Kingdom, but not. So I will say, let me preface this. My idea for Dinoland USA has a more broad spectrum. I think you'll hear more about it because I would like to do, I'd like to do a episode of this where we just do Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that's a good idea. The whole park.
That'd be good.
Yeah. I'd like that. Even though Animal Kingdom is incredibly Imagineered thanks to Joe Rohde himself. But I will say I do have some ideas. But anyway, so think this is the first part that I would have over the entire Animal Kingdom. Okay, so anyway,
Nice.
like, let's think back. So the dragon plays a pretty significant part in the history of Asia, specifically China. It symbolizes power, strength, and good luck. And I think, like, if we do a deeper dive into the history of the dragon in China, we might be able to get a new intellectual property in there. And so hear me out. The ride would be called The Journey of the Last Dragon.
Ooh.
I love it. And I have no clue what the story would be, but I'm guessing it would go well along with the story of Raya and the Last Dragon.
Everything
which would be
starts
super
with
fun.
an idea. And that's there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So I think that would be super fun. And Raya is it's a pretty high-paced story. It's like, it has its down points, but at the same time, like, I think it would fit great into Dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I go to is what was the little, well, not little, it grew into that giant roly-poly. What was his name?
Tuk Tuk.
Yes, Tuk Tuk. So I could see them transitioning the Jeep that's already in there to that. And you're right, like, they might not have to do as much tearing apart of the whole ride system.
That could be good.
You're onto something there. That's pretty good.
So I think really my reimagineering begins with the reimagineering of Dinosaur. And so I think you could easily just start with Dinosaur and then kind of base everything else in the land around, the idea of having those mythical creatures and things like that. So I think that could be kind of a cool area to kind of go along with that. And it would give Raya the recognition it deserves. So that's kind of what I got.
Here's my question
kind of scatterbrained
outside of, it's funny. I think back to food was a big part of the movie because the little man on the boat, and he was all like making all the little food. So, it'd be interesting to see, Asia's big. What was this? Southwest or Southeast Asia? I can't remember the area that this was. I think it was Southwestern culture, Southeastern. Who knows? It was South something culture of Asia. And so I wondered, like, how could they differentiate, being such a big continent, how could they differentiate the menu that you could put, in place of Restaurantosaurus? I think that this is good. And it takes, it seems like, what was it last episode? Everything I said, where they do this, and you're like, it took 5 years. And then to the Frozen, it was 5 years. So Raya obviously just launched, but 5 years they can judge the numbers of this movie, the popularity, which I think is going to be huge. But I think it would take that long for them to get the capital back up and people back going to the parks, and so the timeline may be perfect.
So sneak peek. We're talking about like what we would do with Restaurantosaurus. Yak and Yeti, that area would not still be considered Asia in my little idea for Animal Kingdom.
Oh.
Ooh,
so
a little teaser.
Maybe Yak and Yeti could move.
Oh, it could just move, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
to
be easy.
Restaurantosaurus.
Yeah, you could just repurpose that.
It's a great place.
That's right.
Yeah. You could
Make
just
it easy
repurpose
lift.
that restaurant in a different location.
For sure. And Restaurantosaurus is a huge area. So I think that could be awesome. Or even the area of Theater in the Wild, which is heresy because Finding Nemo is incredible.
Yeah,
find a
it's
new
such
place for
great
that.
show. It's a big theater too. Is that considered part of Dinoland?
No.
Okay.
No, I think
What
that's
is it?
outside.
This is kind
I
of
don't really know what it's considered now
It's
that I think about it.
by
Is it
itself.
considered? It might technically be considered part of Discovery Island. Now that I
Okay,
think
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
it might
Yeah.
it might kind of mold through that roadway to Asia.
There are some weird decisions in that
I don't know.
Dinosaurs and fish. It's weird to put them like next to each other.
Yep.
And when Dinosaur came out, I know I'm aging myself. I thought it was unbelievable. Like they released this film, and how the trailer was like over 5 minutes long of showing this.
Yeah.
It was mixing real footage and then the animation over top of it. But when they would run across like the water or a tree branch or something, it would all move. Like it was breathtaking for the because I think it launched in 2000, and so it was. And but I don't know. Like a lot of people don't know it. Like I don't think that they equate like, oh yeah, that's the movie. They think the Pixar movie, the other dinosaur movie, which did
Dinosaur.
flop. It was like
Unfortunately,
I
liked that
really
movie.
good story.
It was dark, but it was good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Well done. These are two good
job.
choices.
I'm excited to hear about your Animal Kingdom idea.
Mine's lame. It's so obvious. I went for like the easiest thing. My idea would be Zootopia. Shocker. So, when I think
Joe
about...
already said it wouldn't happen.
I think...
He's
Who
gone
did?
now.
Joe already.
He's going to space.
He's
That's
going to
true.
space.
So here's what I think. Disney bases a lot of their decisions based on the success that they have in the theater or global sales. And so this film was a global success. It was over $1 billion worldwide. And so the demand definitely there. Now, this is why I say this is so easy is because we already know Zootopia is currently under construction at Shanghai Disneyland. So there's a plan for it. There's footprint, rides, eateries, shops, etc. That's one thing you guys didn't really talk about was all because there's a little shop in Dinoland. There's all the different kind of things. So now I know what you're thinking.
What?
Dave.
Dinoland
is too small to put this in because I'm sure the area in Shanghai Disneyland is going to be massive. Stay with me. Here's my thoughts. So this entire area has 3 rides. Remember, a great flagship dark ride in Dinosaur, Primeval Whirl, and Triceratops Spin. Plus Restaurantosaurus. That's a lot of space. Now, if you look at the satellite view of the park, I think it's, like I said earlier, it's a little bit bigger than Pandora. I know you can't see Pandora in this shot. Well, you can. It's just over there. But I think it would be easy to reconfigure some of the Shanghai designs, which we don't know they're going to be, to fit in this space. And so my mind immediately goes to the Toy Story Playland that we saw in Paris.
Yeah.
Now, that was, I don't want to offend anybody. That was almost laughable.
It was lame.
It was, the little RC car, it was my favorite part.
I loved that.
That was sweet.
Give that over
was
here.
super
I
dope.
want that.
And so that's where I go to, my mind immediately goes to in Walt Disney Studios Park. Now I think Zootopia and Animal Kingdom would need to not need to be that scaled down, but you get the idea. So we don't know what rides have been created for what they're making in Shanghai, but the way Disney tells stories, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it'll be unique. And it would fit right into Animal Kingdom. Now, what's funny is when I did a bunch of research on this, there was a lot of people that think, but Zootopia was like a metropolis and it was like the city. It doesn't have the animal park feel. I get that, but imagine, okay, let's go to Dinosaur. Imagine you transform that into a dark ride that goes through all of the lands in Zootopia. Plus, big takeaway, especially with where we're at in the climate today, there was a clear message to kids or anybody who watches this movie, but to kids that when individuals prejudice others based on their heritage or when a police force cracks down on a certain kind of person based only on their own bias and fear, people get hurt and treated unfairly. That is a powerful message to teach children, and they could use theming all throughout this area if they transformed it. It would just be really a great opportunity to reinforce that message. Now, as far as a restaurant, I don't know what you would do. I don't know what they ate.
Well, what's her name? Judy?
Yeah.
Judy
Hops.
She literally had a farm. They could do a farm to table restaurant.
There you go, farm to table. I like
farm
it.
to
Isaiah
table.
called her, because I think in some point in the movie, he just refers to that movie as a dumb bunny. Because I think she was referred to as that in that.
Yeah.
And he was like, Dad, can we watch Dumb Bunny? So he loved that movie.
True.
Would they just be playing Shakira throughout the whole land all the time?
Only try everything.
Let's keep Dinoland.
Hold on. Isn't it Gazelle?
We were listening to that song last night. That's a fun song.
I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes, it's very fun.
It's so good. I do like it. It was clever. I mean, that's my thought. I mean, I love that you could potentially do, that message of, hey, how you treat people matters. I mean, that's a big theme in the movie. I mean, I think a lot of people talked about it being like Disney released their first racist movie, and I was like, I mean, I get how people see that, and it's unfortunate that that's the if you choose to see it through that lens. But I think, like I said, it's just a great opportunity to teach kids, hey, you can't treat people like this. There's consequences. It hurts people. And I love that that if the police force was involved in that, right? You had the mayor who was overseeing, and, so it showed the dirtiness that we're, clearly seeing in today's world that we're all living in. And so, I mean, I think when I think of Animal Kingdom, it's a lot about education, especially when it comes to animals. And so this would be kind of another theme of education. I don't know, man. That's all I got. That's my story. But I like all of these. How can we fit all three in one? I don't think we can do that.
That can come in the whole complete Reland.
Oh yeah, good call.
Zootopia could go where literally all of the land that they use for the train track back to affection section.
Yes. Okay. Now, so the Rafiki's, early on, I thought I heard that that's where they were thinking about.
That's what I thought.
But that's what I heard.
That gets, to me, that's way, I mean, I should pull up the map again and look at it. I don't know what's over, off, and behind that, but I feel like that's too close to, because you go along the animal enclosures and stuff, and I feel like that's too close to where the animals stay.
Yeah, it's right between Maharaja Jungle Trek and Kilimanjaro Safari. It's literally right in between there, so I don't know how it would fit.
Yeah, because you take the train back there and you can see, it says Rhino Pen, Elephant House. So, I mean, putting a land back there would probably disturb those guys.
It'd be tricky. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think when you go talk about... Okay, let me ask a different question. Brandon, pre-COVID, were they doing tours where you could go back and see? I know you could do separate tours in the safari where you could I don't know if you could get off the car, but it was a much smaller and very intimate experience.
They took you on a cart. You'd go out and you'd have lunch, and then you could go see the animals, and then you walked over the crocodile pit on a swinging.
Yes, I've seen that. Every time I see it, I'm like, no. But did they do where you could go to their habitat, where they're behind the scenes is where they keep the animals, or is that too backstage for people to?
Yeah, I think that's too backstage for people. I mean, if there was that tour, I would have signed up for it, but I don't think that they would put you that backstage just in case, just liability wise.
Right.
Yeah. I wish there was that tour though. That would be awesome.
I will tell you guys a couple of things that missed the cut for me as I was going through this and what I chose. So high on the list was Lion King. I know that they have the Festival of the Lion King show, but I think I immediately, the first thought when I was like, how do we not have Lion King in the Animal Kingdom park? I mean, I feel like that's Disney's biggest animal movie, but Zootopia,
I mean, that would be cool. You could put the savannah, you could put Pride Rock up there, and you could that'd be a photo spot cool. on Pride Rock. That would be cool.
And you could be a ride. Aren't they giving? They have a Simba. They have a Simba popcorn bucket. You could go up to the top of Pride Rock and hold up your Simba popcorn bucket.
And they'll do one of those super zoom photo pass photos.
Yeah. And then I thought what also missed the cut for me was a rainforest. There's nothing like rainforest representative there except the cafe.
There's the Rainforest Cafe.
Touche.
Well, essentially that's I think that's what the Oasis is supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it exists.
But I mean, it's as bad and that. I know it would probably be boring for children, but it could be educational in the dark ride where you're learning about, you could go on an adventure where you're trying to catch people that are illegally cutting down trees in the rainforest, all that kind of stuff that could be. And then I thought South America where they could incorporate up, but ultimately Zootopia won for me. That was what I went with. I felt like it was low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy.
South
That's
America,
a great idea.
That's another hint.
Okay, I love this show. I think we were actually going, truth be told, we were going to add this as a segment. And Matthew was like, Dave, I think this is good enough to do it its own show. And so
Fun.
we're going to try to release this weekly. It'll launch on Tuesdays every week. And so I'm excited for where this goes. Next week, we're talking about 2 attractions in Tomorrowland.
Ooh.
You just wait. Awesome.
Just you wait.
We will see you next Tuesday.